The following story is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
My boyfriend and I were visiting a few friends in Virginia. We went with another couple and decided to get an Airbnb. The other couple that we had went with picked the Airbnb out, but they haven't been to Virginia before, so the place they picked was about 20 minutes away from the city center. Kind of bit of a drive, but not too big of a deal. When we got there, the neighborhood seemed nice. The house was okay. And when we got into the house, it seemed it's hard to describe, just a very creepy vibe to it. The owner did leave us some freshly baked banana bread, so that was a kind gesture. When we got into the room, that's when things got a little weird. I opened up the closet to see the storage space, but there was nothing in it at all, besides a chair. Not like a normal fold-up chair, but like a small child's chair, facing the bed from the closet. No hangers, no linens, no towels, just this small chair in an empty closet. I know me telling you doesn't really sound that creepy, but I promise you, if you were there and you opened the door and that's all you saw, it was weird. So I brushed it off and we decided to settle in, and we met up with our friends in the city center. Day turned into night and we had a bit to drink. So we decided to call it an evening at around 1 in the morning, and the four of us had head back to our Airbnb. So when I drink, I'm a very heavy sleeper. It's very hard to get me up. When my head hits the pillow, that's where I stay until the sun comes up. So I don't know why it didn't happen this particular night. Maybe it was just the feel of the house and the creepy vibe to it, but I woke up at about 3 in the morning to a quiet giggle. I thought it was just my boyfriend giggling in his sleep because he does that sometimes, so I shrugged it off and tried to go back to sleep. Then the giggling got louder. It sounded like it was coming from outside the window. The window was located behind the bed and above our heads, so I quietly snuck up to it to see if I could see anything. Nothing. There was no one out there, just the moonlight. It went quiet. The giggling stopped, so then I just tried to go back to sleep. And then 15 minutes later, it started back up again. This time I knew it wasn't my boyfriend, and I knew it wasn't the other couple. The giggling grew louder and louder, until it was just a full-blown hysterical laughter right outside the window. The sound of the laughter made chills go down my spine. Then I felt my boyfriend's hand clench onto mine. I didn't even know he was awake. Then I quickly asked him, "Did you bring your gun?" He said no, but I have my knife. He asked me if I saw anything out there, and I said no. After about 20 minutes, the laughing stopped. We stayed up till 4:30 in the morning, continually looking outside the window to make sure the laughter didn't come back. I don't even know how we heard it so well because we were on the second story. My boyfriend went back to sleep with the knife in his hand, and I fell back asleep as well. The next morning, we asked the couple if they heard anything at all last night. They said no. In fact, they thought that we were going crazy. One of them suggested that I had dreamt it. But how did my boyfriend and I both dream that there was a random person laughing outside? I can't tell what's creepier, to be honest. The fact that we heard this at 3 in the morning, or the fact that we looked outside and there was nothing there. A few weeks pass, and out of curiosity, I checked the reviews on this Airbnb listing. All the reviews seem really good, until I scroll down and I see this one review. It was from somebody named Mark C. He said that the house had an ominous vibe to it, and him and his wife woke up in the middle of the night to laughter as well. He didn't really say much more after that. My jaw dropped, and I screenshotted it and sent it to my boyfriend. I just don't think I can understand why somebody would stay outside the window and just laugh at 3 in the morning. Maybe the house was haunted, but it gave me the slightest bit of reassurance knowing that somebody else had the same experience as us. But regardless, this is one of the creepiest things that's ever happened to my boyfriend and I. I went on a camping trip with 3 of my buddies, John, Ben, and Justin. We do this every year to reconnect with each other since we don't really get to see each other as much anymore. We're from Oregon, and we usually camp in the same spot up here. The first day was amazing. We set up our spot, we explored the surrounding area, and by the time the sun came out, we set up a campfire and made dinner. Our second day was the same thing, hiking, food, beers, but when day turned to night, that's when things took a turn. Now, I remember watching a YouTube video about some guys going camping, and they heard laughing in the middle of the night, and it wasn't anyone in the group. Yeah, I'd hate to say it, but my story's actually similar. I wasn't someone to believe stuff like this until it actually happened to me. So, as we finished the rest of our beers, we were wrestling around with each other like guys do, and John stopped messing around and he froze. Everybody was confused, but John claimed he had heard something nearby. We told him it was most likely a squirrel or a deer or something, and he abruptly said no. It was definitely not. At this point, he was scaring me and everybody else in the group, so I decided to resume the tackling session and I took him down. We forgot about the whole thing about 15 minutes later. We eventually got tired from wrestling and joking around, so we decided to put out the fire and head into the tent. We had a pretty big tent. It was about an 8-person tent, and we all stayed inside of it. Our only light source was our flashlights, and we decided to go to sleep. I turned off my flashlight, and we all drifted off into sleep. About 30 minutes later, we hear a slight cackle. I turned on my flashlight to point it towards Ben because it came from Ben's direction, and I thought he was the one who made the laugh. Everyone had a smile on their face, except Ben. Ben was sitting upwards, and he was still. He looked like a mannequin. His face was blank, no expression at all. We all stopped laughing, and our faces went blank when Ben said,
Guys, that wasn't me.
I immediately grabbed the axe that we used to cut the wood. That was the only source of protection that we all had. I was on the very end of the tent. Justin and John were in the middle, and Ben was on the other end. We were all silent, but I knew we were all wide awake after hearing that sound. We weren't at an actual campsite where there would be other people around. We just walked into the middle of the woods, found an open spot, and set up camp. And we were about 1.5 miles from our car, and there was no cell phone signal, so we weren't really in the best position if there was a crazy person running around. I dozed off after about an hour, and I heard the laughing again. It was followed by footsteps. I didn't know how to react to this. I was so scared, and it all happened so quickly. I grabbed the handle of the axe, just ready to swing if something happened. My buddies were scared, and then I pointed the light up near Ben, and we saw somebody's hand press against the side of the tent. Their hand went towards the entrance of the tent, and they stopped, and they backed up about 5 feet away from the entrance. We all pointed our flashlights towards the person, who we could see now was a grown man laughing. We all started screaming, and then Ben yells towards the man,
I have a gun. You better get out of here.
We decided we didn't want to be like the people in the YouTube video that we saw, so we all mustered the strength to get up and chase towards the man so he could leave us alone. By the time we all got outside with our flashlights and my axe in hand, the man was gone. About 10 minutes later, we went back on the tent, and we just laid there the rest of the night, wide awake and sober. We didn't even want to move out of pure fear of whoever was still out there. When the sun came up, we didn't hesitate to pack up and walk everything back to the car. We still go camping every year, but we make sure to go to a legit camping site. Now we actually do bring a gun with us, and not just an axe. We all have no idea who that could have been. Maybe a crazy person or somebody just trying to play a prank on us. But the fact that this happened in a secluded area in the middle of the night will always terrorize me.